welcome back to Be Nurse for Life. I'm Bernice, your host, and I'm here today. We're doing some little nursing updates or just some how to use nursing equipment. I've been told by a few nurses, new and experienced, that they're not sure how to do a manual blood pressure. So we're going to do how to do a manual blood pressure. I'm going to explain that, how to use a pulse ox, and I'll go into that also in the thermometer, and I'll just explain over a glucometer, which is to check the blood sugar because I cannot find mine for the love of me. And I used to be a home health nurse, so I'm not sure where I put it. I got rid of it or I need to buy a new one. But today we have a guest. We have my daughter, Lonnie, who's going to be my patient today. Come on, Lonnie. Say hi. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is the blood pressure. So this has a long name. I just call it the manual blood pressure because that long S name ain't going to fly with me to pass. But I'm just going to show up close. The name of it is right there. Might be too, it's not going to pick up too much without that light. But it's a sphygmomanometer. And this is just a blood pressure cuff, really. Sorry about that. The good thing about these is there's different sizes. This is an adult one, and it will actually say adult size right there. There's one for peds, for children, or for the little babies. There's the really tiny ones. But for this video sake, we're going to do the adult one. So there is a part here also, this little part that you can barely see. Maybe from afar you can. This part will tell you where, the little arrow will tell you which part to put this on the arm. And it will be right above a vein. It says artery, but really a vein. For the left side, it will tell you where directly to line it up. And for the right side, it will tell you directly where to line it up. And then this part is the pump that tightens, that inflates the cuff on the arm. And the little knob right here, like you say, you go to your left to loosen it and the right to tighten. But you don't want to make it too tight where you can't pop it open when you're trying to deflate it. In this part, the actual meter tells, a little too much light, I'm going to pull back. This part actually tells you the numbers. Mine's go up to 300, and I think most of them go up to 300 actually. And the lowest number is 20. For manuals, these are pretty good for that. With this one, I'll go into more detail when I do the setup actually. And then for the manual blood pressure, you will need a stethoscope. This is a stethoscope that came with this manual blood pressure. I think this was a good price too. The brand is Primacare, and it was like $12.99 or $14.99, which is not bad. You will need this, and I'll show you why. Now let's switch off. I'm gonna have you sit right here. Let's see, we're gonna use your left arm. Alright, so this is the cuff. And from this side, you're going to put it on the arm. So because we're doing the left side, it needs to be on this arrow right here. So I'm going to put this over like this, and there is on her arm, she has a big vein in the middle. Okay? Let me see if you can see it. Let me turn it a little bit. There we go. Okay. Right here in the middle is a big vein. There's an arrow here that says left arm. You're going to put it right over it. You're going to wrap the cuff around. Make it snug. Now the meter. There is a little handle here. A black handle up top. There's hooks on the back. You're going to hook it on so you can see it when you're doing the blood pressure. Alright? And then I told you about this little pump. So left is loosened, right is tightened. I'm going to tighten it a little bit so I'm able to pop it open. Then we're going to get the stethoscope. And then for stethoscopes, they're kind of funny. They come like this, like straight. You just need to point it, nose point it to where you want it to go. But some stethoscopes, like the one I carry for work, automatically comes out like this. This means you put it in your ears down. that way. Then you're going to use this part, and I usually tap it to make sure I can hear it pretty well and clear. You're going to slide this part underneath the bottom right here. All right, you're not going to push it too far where you can't squeeze it and then cut off everything. You can put it down here, right below that vein. Then, thank you for holding that. I'm going to pump it up all the way until it gets really tight. And then on hers, I think it's going to go up to probably 180. Okay, is that tight?
Yes.
Okay, let's loosen it up now. Now we loosen it to the left. We go slowly. Wherever you hear that first heartbeat, or that first beat, all right. I'm going to move this over a little bit more. Here we go. We're going to try that again. There we go. There. That's why I couldn't hear it. All right. So, sorry. It's going to be a little tight. Wherever on that meter you hear the first heartbeat, whatever that number is, that is going to be your top number. That's your systolic for your blood pressure. When it stops, where you don't hear that beat anymore, that's going to be your bottom number, which is your diastolic. So, we're going to loosen it now. All right, so her top number was 110. Her bottom number was actually 78. So this really tells you what you need to know. All you need to hear is that first beat. When you squeeze it real tight, you won't hear anything. When you release the pump, that first loud beat is your top number. When the beat stops, whatever number it stops at, that will be your bottom number. And that's really all it is to manual blood pressure. Okay. And the good thing to learn about a vein versus an artery. So wherever there is a vein, if you press on it and keep pressing down, it will still beat. If it's an artery, you press down, like in the wrist down here sometimes, because the arteries and veins are so close to each other. If you press down with a vein, you press down, you won't feel anything anymore. Artery, if you press down, you'll still feel it beating. That's the difference. My bad. So veins, if you press down, you won't feel it beat anymore. Artery, you will feel it even if you press it down to cut it off. The next thing we're going to do is the pulse ox. So this is a pulse oximeter. All right, get too close. A little screen is going to tell you the heart rate. It's going to tell you what the pulse ox is, which is your oxygen saturation in your blood. Everyone needs to be above 90 to 100, but you have people who are smokers who are usually like 86 and above. I think the highest sometimes they'll get is probably 92, which is okay. 88 is their comfort spot. Even if they're on oxygen, sometimes they'll be around that. If they have any lung disease issues, they're usually around 88 to like 94%. A normal person is supposed to be over 90%, and the highest is 100. So my little pulse oximeter, I got it from, where did I get this from? I think this was also from Amazon, but it's been a while. I've had it for a while. Mine, you just press that button right here to turn it on. And I don't know how well you see that screen, but there will be a part where you will see, let me put it on the finger. So when you do the pulse oximeter, you just put it on the finger. It looks the same in the hospital. The only difference is it has a cord attached to a little forgot what they call that little vital signs machine. But it's the same process. You're just clamping it on the finger. Only difference is mine tells me everything on this small screen right here versus the bigger screen that they have. So usually people have like fingernails with nail polish. You can still do it on them, but do it on the pinky because the pinky will always pick up. If for some reason they have some kind of nail issues, like I'm trying to think, like they might have fungus in the nail or some other peripheral vascular issues in their nails, fingernails or fingertips, you can actually turn the pulse ox on, it's going to feel a little bit uncomfortable. Turn it on the side and it will still pick it up. It'll just be a little slower, but it will pick up. But the other ones are a little different. So for her, we're just going to do it the normal way. So it's showing that this big bright number here, I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to pull it back a little bit. Let's see. We're going to bring this camera a little close to it. There we go. All right. So the top number in blue at the top, the biggest one, that's her oxygen. It is 98%. The one to the other side, the smaller blue number, is her heart rate. And right now it's going above 100. So I'm assuming she's a little nervous. But the bottom of the squiggly lines just is showing how well her perfusion is in her blood, how well her oxygen perfusion is. And it doesn't show on most vital sign machines in the hospital, but on the bigger machines in like the ICU, it does. And that's all it is to the pulse ox reading. If the patient has no major issues that the nurse had told you about, anything below 90, you really should just let the nurse know, because it can go from 100 to 0 real quick. So you just want to double check that is that number okay, and you need to go see your patient. So the next thing I'm going to do is our temperature. In the hospital, the best way to get a temperature on a patient is orally or their boob. But we try to avoid the butt at all costs. But it's mostly orally, and it's underneath the tongue or in the cheeks. For this sake, we're not going to use that one. There's other ones we can use. The one that does the temporal. This is a temporal thermometer. I got mine on Amazon. And it's just really easy to read. You just press that button. And then I'm just going to hold it to her forehead. There we go. And then there's a little waiting circle going around. There we go. So her temporal temperature is 97.5. But there is always a difference in your axillary under your arm, or your oral, and your temporal. I think with axillary it's up by 2, so you always want to do that conversion. So her temperature is 97.5 Fahrenheit. But the normal temperature is 96.5 to 100.1 or 100.6 max. Temperature above 100.6 is technically a fever. Usually if it hits 100.2, you're going into low grade if you don't start to like manage that patient and make sure they're okay, because sometimes that 102 could just drop, and that's a good thing. Or if they're in the hospital for some kind of infection or sepsis, that 100.2 is about to be 102 in a quick second. So you want to just jump on that real quick. The other thing is the glucometer I was telling you about, like for blood sugar. So that one's pretty easy. Every hospital does have, I think it's 2 different machines that checks the blood sugar. And it's really just a quick finger stick. Just always remember to clean the finger with an alcohol pad, let it dry. You squeeze that blood, you wipe off that first blood, and then you squeeze again to get, don't squeeze too hard now, like a slight squeeze of the finger, like slight squeeze, not too hard, to get the second blood to check for the blood sugar. But always check the fingertips right here. Only do the sides. They always say do the sides only if they have peripheral vascular issues or they're diabetic. The sides and the tips is the most important part. Don't go directly in the middle, because you're not going to get much blood. And it will start to clot real quick for you, and then you got to stick the patient again. And they're not going to be happy about that. Trust me, I don't like being stick twice. So, that is it for today. Let me switch with you for a little sec. Okay, so if you have any questions about any of this, just comment below. But before I forget, for blood pressure, if the systolic, which is the top number, it usually needs to be, I think it's, what is it? Jesus. That is a good question. I keep forgetting. Like, I just normally know what it is. Oh, it needs to be between 90 and 100 on the top, and the bottom needs to be between 60 and 100. Yes, those are normal. blood pressure. Anything above 130. Some hypertensive or people with high blood pressure usually sits 130s, 140s. If it's a stroke patient, they're usually higher than that. But if it's just a normal patient that you're just checking their pressure and it's above the 130, let somebody know because something else could be going on. Heart rate needs to be between 60 to 100, but there are people who are athletes or just normally have low heart rates. Just be mindful of that. Don't all fully be alarmed. If they're talking to you, be calm. Just let the nurse know or whoever is in charge know. I think that's about it. Yep. Anyways, if you have any, like I said, have any questions, please please feel free to comment below. And that's it for today. And again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I hope to see you soon. Much love.